First and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's home. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you. Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there. And I saw you in the weight room. Watch the workout in the weight room. If you could pick up, you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to pick it, and I running back 16 takes fast. Biggest mistake you ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, Marty, you're hot. 3, 2, 1.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 on your radio dial, the Martin Houston Show fan page. You can find that Martin Houston Live on Facebook at Martin Houston 35 on Twitter and Martin Houston Live on YouTube. Simulcasting via video on all of those great sites. And don't forget to download the Tide 109 app to your smartphone. Take us with you wherever you go. On that commute into work, when you get to work, you can just take us, plug in those ear headphones, and keep the great conversation going. You're always welcome to be a part of the conversation right here on the Martin Houston Show, the Sound of Bama Sports, your show, your team, by calling 205-342-9904. The Taco Casa hotline is open for business, always open for business, and glad to have you as a part of the conversation. So give us a call on this Hump Day edition of the Martin Houston Show, remembering that this is a day that the Lord has made. So let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Got a great show lined up for you. We'll finish up the dual number combination, who's the best. We covered number 1 and number 4 yesterday. Today we'll talk about number 8 and number 9, and then we'll have a little deal, no deal, and we'll close out the show with Scotty Hollins, Executive Director of Blueprint Ministry. So looking forward to having him on to wrap things up with the Johnson & Marshall Dentistry Christian Moment of the Week. So great things happening right here, but we can't do it without you. So once again, go ahead and prepare to be part of the program. 205-342-9904. The Taco Casa hotline is open for business. Good morning, Joe. How you doing, sir?
Oh, very good, Martin. Hanging out. We made it halfway through the week already.
Yeah.
We are now 10 days away. This is the last double-digit day, Martin.
Yeah.
For Night football.
It's hard to believe, but it is quickly approaching. Just a couple miscellaneous things to get to. Does Mac Jones take advantage of the Cam Newton apparently misunderstanding of the testing protocol? Tests are only good if they're conducted at the NFL facility. So Cam Newton out a total of 5 or so days away from the facility, and Coach Belichick saying Jones can take full advantage of this opportunity. Speaking of testing and vaccination, Alabama Athletics announcing that they're over 90% vaccinated. And last I heard, Alabama football was almost perfect. Joe, so I'll ask you a quick question before I get to that conversation. You know, a lot of the coaches, the Power Five, all united around COVID protocol. What happens if a team is vaccinated and has an outbreak and can't play? Do they still lose? Because I know they're doing that to force everybody's hand, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. What do you think? Well, I guess they don't have a choice of what happens, but that'd be very unfortunate.
I believe the way I understand it
is you don't have to quarantine for close contact if you're vaccinated. I think there are different quarantine rules if you're vaccinated than if you're unvaccinated
There are.
on close contact, and I think that's really one of the distinctions that will help these teams and allow these teams to play it here.
Yeah, and it is true. From my understanding, if they are vaccinated and not showing symptoms, then they don't have to quarantine for whatever number of days it is, 10 days or whatever. So it'll be just interesting to watch with this COVID virus. Everything, rules change and the disease change from week to week. So we'll keep our eyes on that as well. As we move forward. And also, just another quick name, image, and likeness. Looks like Montana Fouts is taking her game to the next level. I hadn't seen the article. I mean, hadn't read the story, but I did see it highlighted. So I encourage you to go out to tide109.com. Alabama pitcher Montana Fouts starts a website. And so Joe wrote a good article on that, and has a great chance for you to catch up on a lot of other things impacting Alabama sports as well. And that's at tide109.com. All right, let's get back to that conversation, Joe. I thought we had a really great conversation around number one, which features Kool-Aid and Jameson Williams as probably the most excited duo um, in competition as far as who's going to have the best season with the dual numbers. And then we talked about number 4, Chris Allen and Brian Robinson potentially being the most durable and definitely the most experienced, most seasoned, and most loyal game. I mean, Saban type guys that he loves to promote, but probably not going to be the guys who have the best season. And that left us with number 8, with Christian Harris and John Mechie wearing number 8, and then of course wearing number 9, Bryce Young and Jordan Battle. Now, on the surface, you say this is a toss-up. That's two pretty good combos. Both guys holding key roles for their respective side of the ball. I think the guy, Joe, that we could see the biggest difference in when a guy has already had the type of experience that Christian Harris has, you usually don't have a chance in year 3 to see such a huge jump. But I think with the addition of Henry To'oTo'o, that there is going to be an opportunity for Christian Harris to just jump off the page in terms of his performance. Any thoughts on that?
I think Christian Harris is going to have a great year this year, and I think your number 8 is probably your closest competition to number 9 when you think about the leadership qualities of Christian Harris and John Mechie versus Bryce Young and Jordan Battle. But yeah, Henry To'oTo'o, I think I think it's vital that Coach Saban recognizes that Christian Harris's strength is not necessarily calling and setting the defense. Now he said over time that he can call and set the defense, but I think it's important for a coach to recognize that, hey, this guy functions better when he can just go out there and play. And pulling To'oTo'o in from Tennessee and understanding that his strength is, he can go out there and play, but his strength is setting the defense. And having those two guys complement one another, I think will really lend to the leadership and lend to the strength of this defense.
Doesn't sound like that big a deal, Joe, but just think if Christian Harris is just a half step quicker. You know what I mean? Because he's not having that mental strain. If he can get if he can read it just a step quicker, if he's able to recognize what the defense is trying to do, what a difference that's going to make for him in his performance. And then, of course, you flip to the other side. Bryce Young himself said John Mechie is the key to this year's team, his leadership. We knew Saban picked him to go up to Birmingham on SEC Media Days, and we were saying, hey, that's maybe trying to bolster him as a leader. And whether that was the case or not, it seems that the other guys, according to the quarterback, who's a natural leader of the offense, felt that John Mechie would be there. And now without having to share with the likes of 2 first-round draft picks, does John Mechie's ceiling just explode as well? You're talking about two guys who are already been big-time producers in their Alabama careers, uh, having a chance for their third year to go through the roof. I think you definitely see that in Mechie and Harris. So those two guys definitely bringing the fight to the number 9 combination, and of course number 9 being Bryce Young and Jordan Battle. We've seen Bryce Young, do it right on the field with what little bit of time he had. Joe, and this is not to knock Tua. I'm just making an example. Bryce Young seemed to have accepted his role last year as the backup and never seemed to have a problem. There was no controversy from what I heard from within the team. It seemed like they were all united. And that's huge when you have a kid that comes in with the expectation, because you know as well as I do on our shows, Ryan, Joe, and you got to hear all the shows more than I did. Everybody just assumed that Bryce Young was going to beat Mac Jones out. And maybe if he had a spring, maybe he could have. But he never seemed to cause a problem. And then when we finally got to hear him talk, he sounded like a seasoned veteran guy when he did his interview, and he talked through the process, and he talked through leading the team, and he talked through why he came here, because he wants the pressure and he accepts the pressure and the expectations. Everything to this point that you would want in a superstar quarterback and that you would want in your future leader, he's hit a home run. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. I think he sounded really, really well spoken and really sharp in his media availability last week. I think that he's done really well in the backup role last fall, really well in spot duty. I thought he performed well in A-Day. So the places where we as a media and we as a fan base can evaluate him,
Yeah.
the opportunities that we've had to evaluate him, I think he's excelled in all of those opportunities.
Yeah, and that's what I would say. At this point, he's done everything you would want done, and I don't know that he could have done any of them any better than he did. And then, of course, we've heard Coach Saban talk about Jordan Battle. And Jordan Battle, without a doubt, seems to have taken the next step in his evolution as a football player, and that's to become not just a player who helps himself, but a player who helps his team be better in the leadership role. And so he is knocking it out of the park. And now, if you just were to ask me right up, I'll let you go first. Which one of these guys do you which one of these guys do you think is the best combination of the two?
For the numbers,
Yeah, number 8 or number 9 combo. Which guy do you think, and why? Or make your case for which one of those guys you think has the best season.
Who is the best season? Oh my goodness. Oh, okay. I'm gonna go. All right, my gut. I just my gut says Christian Harris and John Mechie, and really, it's not. Because I think that Bryce Young will rely on John Mechie and kind of feature him at least in the early part of the season until your JoJo Earls and your other wide receivers kind of emerge. And I think Christian Harris is already that dude. I think he's an alpha type linebacker. And that's no disrespect to Jordan Battle as number 9 and Bryce Young as number 9. I think that they're both going to be really, really good players, and they're going to serve a pretty big role on this football team. But I think Christian Harris and John Mechie's roles probably are going to loom a little bit larger, not only on the field as athletes and in production, but just as leaders as well.
Yeah, I agree. I agree in that. And the only reason I would make an argument for Bryce Young is statistically he has the ability to carry the number 9 by himself when you look at a combination of the two as far as what he brings to the table. And so but I think just play in and play out because Bryce Young, I think his success is going to be contingent on a very good John Mechie season. And I think if this defense is going to be what we think it's going to be, Joe, it's going to be because number 8 does his thing this year, like the great alpha linebackers of the past under Alabama. And so number 8 is who I would go with as well. I know Curtis Lewis had said number 9 because of the number of touches, and that is going to be the hard part. But the fans agree with you, Joe. Number 8 got 60% of the votes. Number 9 got 29%. And of course, number 4 got number 1 got 7%, and number 4 got 4. So that wraps up the dual conversation. We're going to go ahead and get the break here. You're welcome to add your thoughts, comments, or call in and talk about that. But we'll come back out of the break with a little deal, no deal in the second quarter. As we go to break, reminding you as you're making your choices and your decisions for lunch or dinner today, don't forget Taco Casa. Taco Casa, quality, taste, value under the biggest cactus in town. They are the right choice for your lunch and dinner needs. 6 locations in Tuscaloosa, West Alabama, 1 up in Birmingham off of Lakeshore Drive. That's Taco Casa, tacocasa.com.
100.9 traffic.
From Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no wrecks and traffic pretty quiet on this Wednesday morning. Please drive carefully. And of course, if you do see conditions, just give us a call, 205-886-8886. Townsend Nissan is taking care of business with rebates up to $5,000 and finance rates as low as 0%. Go see them. I'm Captain Ray.
With Indeed Instant Match, just sponsor a post and immediately receive a short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Relax and recharge with all your buddies while you watch all your favorite games at R&R Cigars. They have a large walk-in humidor with a great selection of name brand cigars for all flavor profiles and taste preferences. R&R Cigars is Tuscaloosa's only whiskey bar and several big screen TVs to watch your favorite team with theater seating and Wi-Fi. So if you're looking for the ultimate venue to watch all your favorite sports, stop by R&R Cigars on 6th Street in Tuscaloosa and next to Winn-Dixie on McFarland Boulevard in Northport.
So you think you have unlimited data?
Recalculating.
Think again. If you're on a network you can't trust, then your data is limited, and so are you. Get unlimited and save with Total Wireless. Get 4 lines with unlimited data on 5G from the network more Americans depend on, with 100 gigabytes at high speed, then 2G for just $25 a month per line.
You have arrived at your destination.
Total Wireless. Do amazing. Available at authorized dealers. 5G capable device and SIM required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. See terms and conditions at totalwireless.com.
Don't miss a play at the Sportsbook at Pearl River Resort. Your front row seat to all the action. Place bets on all professional and most college sports at the counter, kiosk, or on your phone. Then catch the game on one of our 20 big screens from the comfort of the newly remodeled Timeout Lounge. Plus, the PRR Sports app gives you access to live, in-play sports betting. Sportsbook at Pearl River Resort. Be more than a fan. Be a player. Must be 21. Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Another hot summer day today. Partly mostly sunny with only a few isolated showers or storms this afternoon or this evening. A high today 94, tonight's low 72. Tomorrow, partially sunny with a chance of scattered showers or thunderstorms, the high 91. I'm James Spann of the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 76 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith at Sophomart Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional product, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at sophmartdesign.com.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
All right, Martin, you're on 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9. Don't forget about Overflow Express Wash. OverflowExpressWash.com is where you can find a great option for keeping your car clean inside and out. OverflowExpressWash.com is where you need to turn to. So go check out OverflowExpressWash.com. It's now time for a little deal, no deal. So I'll throw it across the glass for producer Mr. and brand manager, Mr. Joe Gaither, to take it away.
Oh, Martin, episode 2 of Deal or No Deal for the fall 2021 season. Last week, I want to take you back to last week for just a second. We asked, deal or no deal, should Alabama invoke vaccination pass to get into the stadium? Well, developments have happened in the last week. LSU has declared that they will require a vaccination pass. The University of Georgia has announced that they will not require a vaccination pass. So this week's question is not deal or no deal. Should Alabama invoke a vaccination pass? But deal or no deal, Martin, the University of Alabama will invoke a vaccination pass or require a negative test to get into Bryant-Denny this fall.
Oh wow, good question. I'm going to say, as things sit right now, I'm going to say no. They will not. Based on circumstance, I think we're probably closer in line with what's happening in Athens versus what's happening in Louisiana and Baton Rouge. So I think that I'll say no deal. Alabama will not invoke that if the numbers are what they are and begin to trend downward, which I think is going to be the case.
I certainly hope that the trend ends up going downward, because that's just the best thing for everybody. Really.
Yeah.
So deal or no deal, we'll move on to number 2. We'll give a little football question from yesterday. The Alliance. The Alliance was a little bit difficult to understand for myself and other people just in discussions. But the way I kind of gather it is that the big, the 3 conferences are going to protect one another by scheduling one another, but they're not going to break any current contracts. We're going to wait and see about playoff expansion, and we're all going to stick together. But there was no ink on the paper. There was no contract signed. It was all buddy. I trust you, you trust me. So deal or no deal, Martin Houston. Yesterday's Alliance announcement was just a bunch of hot air to make the conference commissioners feel better about themselves.
I would say deal. They will definitely get eyes looking at them, which is kind of what they're trying to do. To me, it's so ridiculous, Joe, when you think about what they're saying. We're doing this so we're all on the same page. Okay. Let me think about this. How many conferences are there in the Power 5?
Currently 5. Maybe there's an argument for 4, but currently 5.
Okay, so which 2 are not invited?
Alabama and, the SEC and the Big 12.
Okay. So you're saying you're doing this to bring about unity, right? To stay together so you can collude or collaborate. But yet you left out the two conferences that generated this, but yet it's not in response to what happened between those two conferences. Let me think about that for a second. That is the absolute craziest thing I've ever heard. Oh, this has nothing to do with the SEC taking two teams from the Big Ten, and the fact one of the big decisions or one of the only issues that they really even put any teeth into, Joe, was regarding the SEC, I mean, the expansion of the playoffs, which they think is what the SEC's goal is in bringing that up. You're excluding two conferences, and technically, you're pretty much saying in me, and I'll ask you a deal, no deal, Joe, off of this if you don't mind. Is this the commissioner's way of really acknowledging that the SEC is the king of college football in the Power Five, and that the Big 12's days are numbered?
Well, I like that. I think I certainly agree with you on the second part. Deal. The Big 12's days are numbered. And while the Big Ten and the Pac-12 and the other conferences will probably never out and out say yes, the SEC is king. Yeah, deal. I mean, all these moves over the last handful of weeks has been in reaction to the SEC's acquisition of Oklahoma and Texas. And
Yeah.
oh boy, we're getting left behind. We can't get left behind. And you know who leaves people behind, Martin? Leaders, the people who are
Yes.
in front, the
The,
people who are out, the winners.
right.
I think the SEC are the winners currently.
Yes, and so I think those conferences realize, oh my God, we not listen. If they thought that they could take on the SEC one-on-one, collaboration would not be necessary, or you would have gotten everybody together. You see what I'm saying? Like the fact that you take through.
Think about last summer. Last summer is a perfect example of this. Last summer, everybody we're all gonna be on the same page with COVID. We're all gonna make
Right.
all the same timelines and all this, that, and the other, and watching out for one another. And then boom, the Big Ten who just we're canceling our season. They break away, on the same day that we all apparently had a meeting. So it's just ironic, 13 months ago, the division between the five conferences when it was every man for themselves and look out for themselves, play your own football.
Yeah. And two of those conferences last year tried a power move like this. The Big Ten tried a power play last year, and it got they tried a power play, and their hands got called on it when they said, "Oh, we're just going to cancel our season." And then the Pac-12, which is going to do whatever the Big Ten, and this shows it once again that they should just roll themselves under the Big Ten, and let them lead their conference, because they're going to do whatever the Big Ten does. But those two tried a power play last year and they got called. And this year, the SEC power play is kicking their butt.
So it's interesting to see how it's going to develop. But really, yesterday's announcement was very underwhelming to me.
Absolutely.
So let's make a football question before we bump up against the break right here with a deal or no deal. Deal or no deal? We heard Nick Saban give his rant over the weekend about Jaleel Billingsley. And we heard him, say, of course, it's up to him whether he gets up the depth chart or not. And we've now seen, 2 or 3 days of the Alabama fan base, being a little upset with, oh, what's Jaleel Billingsley doing? He's got to get his head right. He's got to got to get dialed in. But personally, Martin, I've kind of over the weekend and over the last 4 or 5 days, kind of decided that this is much to do about nothing. That Jaleel Billingsley is going to be that kind of guy that is going to be still starting week one, and he's going to carry on and have a good season. So, deal or no deal, Martin? I'm going to ask you, since you've been there, done that. Deal or no deal? Nick Saban's message to Jaleel Billingsley is not going to be a big deal for Jaleel Billingsley, and it will be received well. more importantly, and most specifically, deal or no deal, Jaleel Billingsley will still be starting at tight end for Alabama when they kick off in 10 days against Miami.
Well, I think it's a big deal in the sense of why Nick Saban is saying it. And yesterday on Alabama Tradition, we had William Barger, Crimson Tide Insider, a Crimson Tide Insider, and former player. He brought up the fact, Joe, that what he's hearing is that it's not just Jaleel. There's some guys buying into the hype from last year. Okay. He doesn't know how widespread it is from his words, but Jaleel Billingsley may just be the spokesperson for trying to get these guys' attention. Is that making sense?
You got to have a poster child.
Yeah. There's some guys that are not completely bought in right now. And he said, I don't know how deep it runs yet. And he said, but I have heard that there are some things. And so I kind of pivoted to the Jaleel Billingsley. And I'm like you, Jaleel Billingsley is the poster child. And I think Nick Saban will get them to respond. Okay. And if they respond, then what you're saying is absolutely 100% correct. Jaleel Billingsley, after the second rant and him calling him out once again and saying the ball is in your court, it means that up until this point, Jaleel has not responded, and or the other guys aren't responding, and Jaleel is the leader of that group. With that said, I think that this gets their attention. The team buys in. The team recognizes, because one of the things we've heard this offseason, Joe, is a lot of the term, hey, this guy's a leader. This guy's a leader. This guy's a leader. This guy's a leader. So there appears to be, even though you lost all of those big-time players and older guys, there seems to be a lot of leaders on this team, so they'll get them all in line. So long answer made short real quick is deal. Jaleel Billingsley, barring some type of collapse or fall apart, is going to respond to the challenge that Nick Saban has laid before him, and he will, without a doubt, be the guy getting those first reps come next Saturday against Miami. So, deal. Any thoughts on that as far as the team from your side before we get to break here?
I think you bring up some good points. I think you bring up some insight that maybe I had considered as that maybe Jaleel is kind of the ringleader. Some of the guys that have not necessarily been dialed in. I just contend maybe I just have an unequivocal trust in Coach Saban that he'll get them to that place by the next 10 days, and maybe part of his method is ripping them on Saturday after the scrimmage. So.
Yeah, and I think that's coaches learn just like players do, Joe. I don't think this is Nick Saban's first rodeo of having a team that had big time cohesion and big time unity, and then coming off of high expectations. I don't think he is a guy that is foreign to this, and he's tried a couple different ways to do it, and I think that he knows which way he needs to go with this team. Some of the guys are going to fall in line because they know, it's and I know this may sound crazy, but like when you go out to witness, Joe, and you go up to a group of, like if it's a group of young people, one of the methods they'll teach you in evangelism is you can identify the ringleader and get him, then you can get all the other guys because you reached that one kid. Whether it's for faith or for building relationship or whatever. So and so that is huge. And Curtis Lewis, I love this. Curtis Lewis said, future money talks, and the players know Saban has control over their future money. So when Saban says that, Jaleel Billingsley needs to respond accordingly. So I think he's the guy in that circle of people that Saban has targeted, even though he may not be the only one in that situation. And so we'll move on from there. And we got a short segment coming up here on the other side where we'll hit a couple miscellaneous things. Some news talking about what's happening, and Saban saying he wanting to see this in practice. Dr. Ray made a statement about a particular player, and if this is true, I'm going to piggyback off of one of our other co-hosts and ask you, Joe, on the other side, a deal or no deal question regarding this player and see what your thoughts are. That conversation coming up next right here on the Martin Houston Show.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no wrecks and traffic pretty quiet on this Wednesday morning. Please drive carefully. And of course, if you do see conditions, just give us a call, 205-886-8886. Townsend Nissan is taking care of business with rebates up to $5,000 and finance rates as low as 0%. Go see them. I'm Captain Ray.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with a showroom clean car and an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the premium wash packages, which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, just double the regular premium package, drop a penny, and you can be one of the great members of Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and out by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard right next door to Alabama 1, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
Townsend Nissan is your dealer to shop and buy from with discounts and rebates of up to $5,000 in select models. Townsend Nissan's lifetime powertrain warranty and finance rates are as low as 0% for up to 60 months, and your trade-in is worth so much more right now. Why wait? Visit Townsend Nissan and let them wow you with an out-of-this-world offer. Don't get caught up in other dealers' hype. Shop Townsend Nissan today for a great buy in your next car, truck, or SUV. Townsend Nissan wants your business and looks forward to serving you. Shop at townsendnissan.com.
Nick Saban calls it the process. John Maxwell said that everything rises and falls on it. And Coach Wooden said it's what you learn after you think you know it all that makes the difference. What am I talking about? Leadership and personal development. Is your organization, your school, your church, your family, are they receiving the proper level of leadership development and personal development? If not, the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring can help you with that. We have our pep talks, which is a 1 to 1.5 hour lunch and learn, which we can customize to meet your needs, or we have some topics that we present that we know can help your organization. And if you're looking for one-on-one mentoring and coaching, we can also assist you with that. Visit peptalks35.com. That's peptalks35.com, or send an email to martin@martinhouston.org. That's the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring.
We're planning a trip to Spain later this year.
But our Spanish is...
It's pretty bad. So we're using Babbel.
Babbel's conversation-based method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive, bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
There's no easier way to learn another language.
Ahora hablamos español.
He just said now we speak Spanish.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free. Just go to Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
This is a metaphor for your business's journey. Sometimes it feels like the world is throwing everything it has at you, and to succeed, you need someone to guide you through. That's what Dell Technologies advisors do. They have the tech advice to help you navigate whatever challenges you're up against and get you safely to where you want to be. Call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL and do more with modern devices and Windows 10 Pro. Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back in to the Martin Houston Show. Little deal, no deal in the last segment. And of course, we always open things up to our listeners, viewers, and chatters for deal, no deal. So I've had a chance to think about this question. So I'll ask you real quick as well, Joe. Deal or no deal? Scott Cochran eventually finds his way back to Saban and rehabs as an analyst to an on the field position. Deal, no deal. CJ Watson asking that question.
Well, I think it's a good question. I think it really depends on what Scott Cochran's relationship is with Kirby Smart. And I think Kirby Smart provides him a quicker path to rehabilitation, but perhaps Nick Saban provides him the more complete path to rehabilitation. So really it depends on what Scott Cochran's after. Is he after a quicker path to get back onto the field, or is he looking for complete restoration?
Yeah, and I think you have to take that in piece parts. Scott Cochran eventually finds his way back to Saban. Deal. And rehabs as an analyst. Deal. To an on the field position at Alabama, no deal. But I think that he chooses the path of reconnecting with Saban, learning the position, much like young analysts have done, and then Saban can vouch for him, and he gets the experience that he is seeking. So to me, it's a deal. Saban and rehab as an analyst. And then, of course, he finds himself somewhere else as a position coach. That's just my thought. Real quick, Joe, in regards to Dr. Ray, he made a statement, two statements. And one, I'm going to tie into the Billingsley question you asked me before we went to break, and it ties into Curtis Lewis's response. Matt Ray said, an NFL scout told me this week that he's never seen anything like our practices, the speed, the effort, the competition. It's no wonder this place spits out NFL studs every year. It's no accident. Future first round picks battling every day in practice, making each other better. That's Dr. Ray making a statement just in general. Joe, deal, no deal. That's what Nick Saban is frustrated about potentially with Billingsley and others, that they're not putting in the work, because he specifically mentioned about having scouts at practice. And that it's not just about what you do on the games, but what happens in practice. Is that related to that conversation? And he's not seeing that type of, what is it, effort, speed, and competition from Billingsley. Deal, no deal.
Well, it is related because those scouts are there every day. Not the same scouts every day, but you are being evaluated, and and it's one of the attractions to Alabama for the players who don't always end up on the field on Bryant Denny Stadium. You're still competing against high level players and being evaluated by NFL scouts, and it's a guy like Cam Sims who didn't really play here that much, but is still
Right.
on the NFL roster.
Yeah.
Because of how well he competed in practice and performed in practice. I think it is related. And Jaleel, I think Jaleel has every opportunity to be probably, Martin, a top 20 pick this spring. If he performs like it, and if he provides that consistency, and part of the way you become that top 20 pick is you play hard every day and you impress every single day these scouts.
Yeah, and what's interesting is to me, I think this, of course, it is self-serving for Nick Saban in that sense, but I also think it's because Nick Saban really does care about these players, and he wants that young man to understand, son, I could let you go out on Saturday and you would look really good, but when those coaches see your effort and your work ethic, at football practice, it's gonna ding you. So I think he's not just pushing him to be great in the games, but also to do the work at practice, because he knows that when he gets to the next level, if you don't put the work in before Sunday, you're going against pros who are just as talented or more talented, who are putting work in, and they will embarrass you. Another statement that William Barger shared with us yesterday, and Ryan Fowler made the following statement, that Will Anderson has the potential to be the best player in college football, Joe. I mean, I told him, he said he went out on a ledge. I said a ledge, but when William Barger shared this information, maybe that ledge got a little longer. It may not be as far out as we think. He made the following statement. He said, if Scott Cochran had remained at Alabama as a strength and conditioning coach, what we saw in Will Anderson would be what we would see in Will Anderson in year 2 and 3, meaning that he's good enough. He would just have the natural maturity. But Dr. Ray said that Will Anderson had added 38%. He's 38% better in terms of his velocity training, his strength training, and his speed training. Adding 38% to that guy, remember we said if he takes the steps that we expect, well, he's done everything in the offseason to do that. So is Will Anderson, if not the potential number one player in the country, is he a top 5 guy if he's able to translate that additional 38% to the field?
I definitely think so. I'm about to just give you a little sneak peek, Martin. Put out my top 10 the list, my Alabama top 10 athletes on campus list, and I think Will Anderson might sneak in there right there, number 1 for me. I think he's every bit of, I don't think Ryan's too crazy. I think he has a chance to be the best player in college football this year. You think about him with 7 or 8 sacks in the last half of the year, just really having it click for him. If he starts off the year at that level, and you're talking 38% better, you're looking at a very, very dangerous man off the edge.
Yeah, he said if I'm a defensive coordinator against Alabama and I hear that statistic, I just lost my ability to sleep at night. So we can talk more about that conversation on tomorrow and into Friday. But I wanted to throw that out since we were doing a little deal, no deal. So even if Ryan was on a ledge, I told him that ledge just got a lot longer before he steps off of it. If that 38% is true and translate to the field. So that's the scary part about this Alabama team, is if the strength and conditioning program becomes the number 1 strength and conditioning program in the country, along with everything else it's already been, look out, college football. Nick Saban may go on a 2 or 3 year tear where he wins some national championships and set some records, not just in how many, but how many in a row. So we'll be watching it. But coming up next, we have Scotty Hollins, Johnson and Marshall Dentistry Christian Moment of the Week.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no wrecks and traffic pretty quiet on this Wednesday morning. Please drive carefully. And of course, if you do see conditions, just give us a call, 205-886-8886. Townsend Nissan is taking care of business with rebates up to $5,000 and finance rates as low as 0%. Go see them. I'm Captain Ray.
Wednesday morning, White House COVID-19 advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci is telling those who refuse to be vaccinated they are the reason the pandemic is not only continuing, but getting worse. There has been a sharp uptick in the number of Alabamians receiving vaccinations, but the state is still dead last in the number of people fully protected. Pediatricians across the area are saying that they are being inundated with COVID-19 positive children. Click TuscaloosaThread.com. It's free. I'm Don Hartley. Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. If you're looking for a way to add value to your home, make your flower beds pop, make your landscaping stand out from your neighbors, then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help you do just that. They have numerous styles but they feature the Moroccan Stone Curve series, which includes 4 great styles and unlimited color choices. That's Tuscaloosa Custom Curving. They are the one that can help you stand out from your neighbors. Tuscaloosa Custom Curving, 205-331-6823. You might find yourself with the need for a custom size stone or custom shaped stone, then Tuscaloosa Custom Curving can help with that as well. Paul Fuller and his team are waiting on your call right now for that free quote. And if you tell them that Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show told you to stop by, you'll get a big discount. So call Tuscaloosa Custom Curving at 205-331-6823 or visit them online at Tuscaloosa Custom Curving LLC.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? So you've got an oil change coming up? We can help you get started. Right now, you can get 5 quarts of Castrol GTX and an STP oil filter, plus an STP air filter or cabin air filter for just $34.99. And you can get it all fast, your way. Just order online with our free same-day store pickup or next-day delivery. Start your job today at AutoZone.com. Restricted supply.
Benito's line cook just threw in his kitchen towel.
This order needs to go out right now.
He needs to find help before his customers are left waiting.
I'm so sorry. We'll be right with you. Who's got table 6?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. With Indeed Instant Match, we immediately show you quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed meet your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Walk-On athletes put everything they've got into the game.
Walk-On Sports Bistro puts everything we've got into bringing you game day with a taste of Louisiana.
Over 70 big-screen TVs.
Mouth-watering Louisiana cuisine. Po' boys, gumbo, voodoo shrimp, plus fan favorites like juicy burgers and fresh salad.
Made from scratch with ingredients you can't help but crave.
Now open in Tuscaloosa, 675 Scallon Boulevard.
Walkons.com.
Walk-On Sports Bistro, more than a restaurant.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
3, 2, 1.
Good morning. Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. And for those who are on live on video and our other chats, we're trying something a little different today. We got Scotty Hollins live on the radio as well as on video with Facebook. So we're looking forward to that. Scotty, kick things over to you for another lesson on how we can incorporate our faith into the boardroom, the classroom, and our chosen field of play.
You so much, and it's truly a privilege and pleasure to be able to join you once again. And we are continuing our series that God is what, Martin?
Bigger.
God is bigger, okay? And so our series takes us to the book of Daniel this week. And I just want to take a look at this story where Daniel actually finds himself in a really tough situation, okay? But he figures out that God is bigger. Actually, Daniel knows that God is bigger, but he gets a chance to introduce that fact to a few other people. So Daniel is one of the wise men in a foreign land, and the king just so happens to have this request that is bigger than anyone. Basically bigger than everyone. And so the king's request is, hey, the king has had a dream, and the king says, you know what? I want you guys to help me interpret the dream. And he only goes to the best. He goes to the magicians and the Chaldeans, and he goes to the enchanters and the sorcerers. And then Daniel's included as a wise man. So he goes to this group of people. And he says, all right, guys, I got this dream. I need you to interpret it. And he's like, okay, cool. Hey, we can interpret the dream. Why don't you just tell us the dream and we'll interpret it? Come on, King, give it to us. And so the king's like, nah. If you really can interpret this dream, then you can tell me the dream. And the enchanters say, hold up now, King, I know that's a joke. Like, seriously. All right, please. Why don't you just tell us the dream and then we'll interpret it? And he says, no, buddy. If you can interpret my dreams, then you should also be able to tell me what the dream is. Okay? And so what we see here, and then the king eventually says, he said, if you can't do this, you'll die. The enchanters say, listen, no one can do what you're requesting. There's not one person on this earth who's able to tell you your dream and then interpret it.
a result, the king says, since you guys cannot interpret the dream, you will be killed. And so Daniel gets word, hadn't even heard the request yet, but Daniel gets word, hey, you guys are going to die because you guys couldn't tell the king's dream and couldn't interpret it. And so Daniel says, hey, just give me some time. Let me pray. And so Daniel ends up praying and gets his buddy to pray, and they pray all night. Well, Daniel gets the dream in the middle of the night. And so he wakes up early the next morning and says, hey, take me to the king. I got the interpretation, and I got the dream. So he takes him, and so Daniel is standing before the king. And the king says, hey, brother, I hear that you can tell me my dream and interpret it. And listen to what Daniel says. Because what the king was basically saying is, hey, brother, you're bigger than all these other guys because nobody could do it. And Daniel took this moment to make sure he reflected the glory that this king was trying to give him to the only person who deserves it. He said, King, no one on earth can do what you requested. It's impossible. But there is a God in heaven, and he's given me the dream, and he's given me the interpretation of the dream, and I will share it with you. And so Daniel proceeds to give him the dream and interpret it. Listen to what the king says in response to that. Got to get the book right here. Okay. Here's what he says. Wrong page. Okay. Here we go. All right. So he says this. Then the king answered and said to Daniel, truly your God is the God of gods and the Lord of lords and the King of kings. And so what you see here is, here's a guy who wasn't even a follower of God, this king, right? And here's what he says. He says, listen, Daniel, you have shown me today that your God is what, Martin?
Bigger.
Your God is bigger. And I'll say, actually, he tells them this. He says, your God is bigger. He says, your God is the God of God. Your God is the Lord of lords. This is from a pagan king who comes to this conclusion. I want to encourage you guys, no matter what you're facing, understand that you will face things that are bigger than you throughout this week, throughout this month, throughout this year. But those big things aren't meant to crush you. They're meant to push you to a God who's bigger. Okay? And so listen, if you fixate on the problem or the person, that will cause you to worry. If you fixate on your God, that will lead you to worship. All right? And that will also lead you to make him known to people who don't know him as you trust him. Okay?
Amen. And that's so awesome because people are watching you. And if we say what we believe and believe what we say, then our reactions should be different than those around us. Doesn't mean our reactions are always going to be perfect, but our goal and our opportunity should be that we will respond differently in such a way. I love it. Let your works here so shine that it glorifies your Father in heaven. Why? Because he is the source behind all of our success and all that we do. So, man, Scotty, I'm looking forward to us taking this next step. I think next week we start. Is it next week we're going to start highlighting some kids from the schools? It'll be the week. All right, recognizing the champions of faith in our school systems. But I'm loving the God is bigger. So if we want to keep going there, we can do that. Tell our listeners real quick where they can find you, sir.
Absolutely. You can find me on www.blueprinttuscaloosa.com. Send me a message there. It comes straight to my email.
All right. Now, Scotty, should I interpret your backdrop in that black and gold as a Steelers fan?
My kids do voiceover. This is the voiceover booth.
All right. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Good to see you. We'll catch up with you next week, Scotty. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
All right. That's Scotty Hollins, the Johnson & Marshall Dentistry Christian Moment of the Week right here on the Martin Houston Show. Stay tuned for more great conversation on Tide 100.9 for Joe Gaither, for Scotty Hollins, for all our listeners, callers, chatters, and viewers, reminding you that this is the Martin Houston Show. And stay tuned, trusting the Lord always, lean not your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Roll Tide and have a blessed day.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. Tide 100.9.
You too, man. Have a good one.